Where my dad's at, we right here, yo. So again, the topic that I wanted to talk about today, or the title of today's podcast, is Letter to My Dad from My Children. So, what does that mean? In therapy, I've learned that one of the techniques to kind of deal with issues, in my case, like some resentment, and just different feelings that have never been expressed. So I guess it could be any feeling. One of the methods of dealing with that is to put those feelings in a letter. So in this case, a letter to my father. So I had no clue where to start with that. I was raised by a single mom. Like I said, this is not going to be the episode where we really get into the details of that, but I just wanted to, I found it really, really, really enlightening and helpful once I started getting into this task of writing this letter to my dad. And one of the things that came from it, besides me, getting these feelings out on paper and seeing these feelings, and like I said, I'm a father myself now. So as I'm getting these feelings out from the perspective of a child, or from the perspective of the son, I also start to view my feelings as a child through the lens of the role of being a father. So the son part of me might say, well, Dad, where were you? Why weren't you there? The father part of me says, in response to that, not talking to myself directly, but just in response, what if my kid was asking me these questions? While I wouldn't want to repeat the same cycle and the same things that went on, it's possible. I'm a human being. So as a son of a father who I didn't feel like was there, I want to say I'll never be that father. I'll always be there. But I realize now as a father, dealing with it on a daily basis and trying to show up and be present in my children's life and deal with all the things that come along with that, as well as be a husband, be a son, be someone who helps out my community. There's a lot. There's a lot of pressures. There's a lot of distractions. There are things that could very well cause me to find myself in a situation that I don't want to be in and could never see myself being in, but could very well happen. Everything from like money and finances to just differences of opinion between me and my spouse, stresses, pressures. Everything from like society and just different roles that we want to play, and different parts we want to play, and all of that adds up to the point where, for me, there has been the feeling of, well, wow, for my sanity, I could see myself distancing myself. It's scary to think about it, but I could see myself saying this is too much. And not doing anything drastic, but again, for the sake of sanity, find myself saying, what if I played my role as a father and was responsible from outside of the house, right? So you see it from a different perspective, but that's not really what the main thing was I wanted to cover. Really, I wanted to talk about the fact that in attempting to go through all the thoughts and all the feelings and everything that I might want to share with my father, I found this really, really, really important question. What if my kids wrote this letter to me? What if my kids wrote this to me? What would that letter consist of? Would that letter sound anything like the letter that I'm writing to my dad? Obviously, my kids have not had the same life as I had as a kid. But could they potentially have some of the same resentments or anger or frustration or whatever towards me? Could they have that? And while that is a topic in itself, it reframed for me what it meant to be a father. Not just being present today, but being present for my kids in the future, and almost writing that letter with them. You can hear them in the background. If I don't want them to write a letter that says, "Where were you, Dad?" then I have to be here. If I don't want them to write that letter saying, "Dad, why are you always so angry and frustrated?" then I have to try to not be angry and frustrated. I have to try to be patient and loving and caring. If I don't want that letter to say, "Dad, I wish you would have," then I have to make sure that I do. And on the other side of that is, if I want that letter to say, "Dad, I wish you wouldn't have," then I have to make sure that I don't. I cannot be the type of father who looks at that letter 20 years from now and can't honestly say, "I didn't expect this letter." By the time that time has come, sure, work can be done to still mend relationships and everything. But by the time my kids are sitting down to write the letter, if they ever sit down to write the letter, there are going to be a lot of things that can't be undone. And we definitely can't go back in time. So it just brought me to a place of thinking about that, keeping that in mind. And it's not something that is just for my role as a father. It can be for every role, every relationship I have. If my friends write a letter, if the people I know, somebody is writing the obituary, not to sound too dark or morbid, but someone's writing the book about my life, and I'm right there with them to write it. Maybe, what's that, an autobiography or biography? I don't know. But anyway, maybe I'm there, maybe I'm not. Either way, what's the story that is told? What are the memories that are shared? What are the feelings that are had about me at that point? Sure, things change as time goes on and people see things differently. Like I said, myself, I see a father's choices different now that I'm a father. And that also helps to show me what I want to shoot for as a father. I have my faith. Through my faith, I have like my morals, my ethics. I have my personal feelings, my personal experiences. I have the examples that I was given of what to do as a father. And maybe more importantly, what not to do as a father, right? I have those things as guidelines. And I'm sorry, as I turn and I look, this microphone I am getting used to it. So, but yeah. Uh-oh, just dropped the camera. Oh no. There we go. All right, put that thing back on me. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to shoot. I'm trying to do some different things, but yeah, so just think about that. Just think about that as a father. Just think about it. I know I probably haven't said any magic thoughts or anything to unlock your inner father or to help you through issues you might have had with your father or might be having with your father or your kids or whatever. But I do feel like if we look at what we're doing through the lens of someone who's observing us, that it may influence, and not influence in a way like, oh, somebody's watching me, got to do the right thing, but just influence us through maybe encouraging us to be our best selves, encouraging us to be the best fathers we can be. So I do thank you for being here. I do thank you for listening. And again, if you haven't thought about it, depending on what your relationship is with your father, if you could write a letter to your father, not if you could, if you did, because I've started mine, I've done it. What things would you say as an adult? What things would you say as a father to your father? What things would you say as a son to your father? What things would you say as a man to your father? And for the daughters, same thing. You may not be in the role of father per se, but you have a father, you had father figures, you had men that maybe you looked at as a father or as what a father should be. What would that letter look like? What would that letter sound like to those people? Would there be thanks, gratitude? Would there be resentment, hatred? Would there be forgiveness? Would there be understanding? And then shift the subject of that letter to yourself. If my parents wrote me a letter as a son, that'd be weird. If my kids wrote me a letter as a father, what would it sound like? Yeah. You know what it is. Valuable Minds presents Where My Dad's At. And to that I reply, be right here, yo. Be right here, yo. We right here. I hope to bring you podcast episodes weekly, but it's been a struggle in the past. But no, we're going to shoot for weekly. For those of you who are listening, hopefully you'll follow us on our social media, and I'll make sure to post those things for you guys who are listening. Yeah. And let's do it. Where my dad's at. It's like a collective. We're going to get together. We're going to do this dad thing better. And for those of us that aren't dads or won't be dads, we're going to help to influence the dads, the future dads. Moms, if you got a son, you can listen to this. Where my dad's at. We can help each other. Each one teach one. Where my dad's at. 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 We right here, yo. We right here, yo.